In 52 BCE, Julius Caesar, the most brilliant military commander in history, made a decision that defied all logic. He ordered 50,000 Roman soldiers to build their own tomb, trapping themselves between 80,000 enemies inside the fortress of Alesia and an approaching relief army of up to 300,000 Gauls. The fate of Western civilization hung on this impossible gamble. For 6 years, Caesar had conquered tribe after tribe in Gaul, but control was fleeting. Then, Vercingetorix, an Arverni prince, achieved the unprecedented. He united over 40 ancient warring Gallic tribes under one banner. This unified front, driven by a deep hatred of Rome, represented an existential threat to Caesar, whose political enemies in Rome were waiting for him to fail. His career and his life depended on breaking this resistance once and for all. Vercingetorix gathered 80,000 of his best warriors inside Alesia, a fortress on a naturally impregnable plateau. He was confident Caesar would never attack such a position, but this overconfidence would prove fatal. The very geography that protected Vercingetorix's large army, requiring staggering supplies of food and water, also made it a potential prison. Ignoring conventional wisdom, Caesar ordered his 10 legions to commence the construction of an 11-mile-long inner wall, or circumvallation, completely encircling Alesia and trapping Vercingetorix's forces inside. When scouts reported the massive Gallic relief army, potentially 250,000 to 300,000 strong, Caesar chose insanity. He commanded his army to build a second, outward-facing wall, the contravallation, 14 miles long, turning their position into a fortress within a fortress. They had voluntarily trapped themselves between two massive armies. Caesar's engineering was the secret marvel that turned this death trap into a killing machine. Beyond the ramparts and ditches, he ordered the construction of lethal obstacles. The cipi, logs with sharpened branches projecting at eye level. The lilia, pits 3 feet deep with sharpened concealed stakes at the bottom. The stimuli, foot-long iron spikes scattered on the ground like ancient landmines. These obstacles were designed to channel and impale the charging Gallic forces, creating specific kill zones for the Roman artillery. On September 20th, the battle began. The Romans were outnumbered 7-1 and forced to fight a siege in 2 directions simultaneously, something no army had ever attempted on this scale. As Gallic arrows darkened the sky, the prepared defenses proved their worth immediately. Gauls screamed as they hit the concealed lilia pits, while the stimuli tore through flesh. The crisis peaked at the northwest section, where 60,000 Gauls, led by Vercingetorix's cousin Vercingetorix, slammed into the Roman defenses. With his troops on the brink of collapse, Caesar acted. He took his last reserve of 6,000 men, and in his visible purple cloak, personally led the charge to Labienus's beleaguered sector. The psychological impact was instant. "Caesar comes," the cry spread, giving exhausted legionaries new strength. Simultaneously, Caesar's German cavalry, held in reserve, charged out and smashed into the Gallic rear. Caught between 3 converging Roman forces and their own deadly obstacles, the attacking Gauls were slaughtered. Seeing this devastating failure, the main relief army of 200,000 men simply broke and fled the field, abandoning their comrades inside Alesia. From the walls, Vercingetorix watched his last hope melt away. At dawn on the 3rd day, an eerie silence settled over the battlefield, and a white flag appeared. Vercingetorix, showing characteristic nobility, decided to surrender personally to save his people from starvation, choosing to sacrifice himself for their sake. He rode out in his finest armor, circling Caesar's command chair once, a final act of Gallic pride, before dismounting and laying his arms at Caesar's feet. The greatest Gallic warrior was submitting to the seated Roman. In that moment, independent Gaul died forever. The siege of Alesia cost an estimated 40,000 Gallic lives between the walls in just 2 days. For Caesar, the victory was absolute. 50,000 disciplined men had defeated 380,000 brave ones. Caesar's audacity had overcome arithmetic. The engineering legacy, from the double walls to the lily pits, revolutionized siege warfare, securing his command in Rome and clearing his path to civil war. 6 years later, Vercingetorix was paraded through Rome in Caesar's triumph and then ritually strangled, marking the final tragedy of Alesia.